5:10. Scott Dooley and Linda Mariano with you, and it is time for you to meet one of the biggest bands in history, Metallica. Lars Ulrich got on the phone to us last week. I had a good chat to him about the brand new record, Death Magnetic. Here is part one of that interview, Lars Ulrich. And this is when I first started talking to him and asked him what they had in mind when they went in to make this new album.
We didn't really have a lot in mind. We were in San Francisco, and then we'd been off for the better part of a year, and the Rolling Stones were coming to San Francisco, and they asked if we would play with them. The Rolling Stones, you got to say, of course, we'll come play with the Rolling Stones. So we went and did the Stones gigs, and then we basically came straight back in the following week and just started bashing stuff out. We didn't really have a particular clear idea of what we were doing, other than we wanted to try and have a little more fun making this record than we did the last one, St. Anger, which was the film crew and the psychiatrist, and there was a lot of kind of negative energy in the band. But this time we kind of wanted to keep it positive and have fun with it. We wanted to make a record with Rick Rubin. He sat us down and started talking about maybe going a little bit more back to some of the things that we've been doing before, and, you know, embracing some of the things we've done in the past and so on.
What sort of stuff do you mean, like, that you were bringing from old albums?
Well, I think the main thing was to, you know, after the And Justice for All album, we kind of ran as far away from a lot of the stuff we did on the record in the 80s and basically spent the better part of the 90s experimenting and trying different things and embracing different musical genres and influences and so on. And I think that we felt that the records that we made in the 80s were so important to so many people, critics, fans, and peers and so on, that to go back and to try to do anything that in any way mirrored what those records was would in some way be like sacrilegious, or would be belittling them in a way, or
kind of undermine what you were doing.
Exactly, taking something away from them. So we spent basically 15 years running as far away from all that stuff as possible, till Ray Rubin kind of sat down and said, "Don't be scared, boys. It's okay to go back and embrace some of the things from your past."
When you listen to the new record, it sounds, I guess, different to the recent ones. The songs are huge. They're unpredictable. When I'm listening to the songs, I don't know where they're going to go next. Was that the intention, to kind of throw around that structure of songs?
A little bit. We spent the better part of the last 10 years trying to write shorter songs.
Yep.
It's a lot of fun, especially when the producer sits there and says, "Why don't you try and make that a little longer?" I mean, I've never had anybody sit there and actually egg me on. I always have to battle everybody, because I'm the one that kind of likes to do the long songs, and James and the managers and everybody sits there and says,
"No, cut it back.
Yeah.
Are there songs on the record that you think are your favourites so far? Like, how do you feel overall about the album now that it's out and, you know, people are loving it? It's gone, you know, number one kind of everywhere.
The fact that it's number one in like every single country on this planet, and I think in a few on some outer planets, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable that people still care. It's unbelievable people still buying records. It's unbelievable people still care about Metallica. When it only happens to you every 5 years, it gives you a chance to appreciate it a little more. You know, back in the 90s when we put a record out every half an hour, it sort of started taking it for granted. And now this is the second record we put out this decade, so it's pretty awesome. On a global basis right now, hard rock in general, heavy metal is doing very well. Metallica is doing very well, and there's just a lot of real positive energy flowing out for this kind of music. So to be able to kind of fly the flag and be at the forefront of all that is very cool.
The record, I'm not sure if you know this, Lars, but it's the highest selling album in Australia in 2 years. So congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
I mean,
it's hard to believe. Is there like a Cold Chisel compilation album or something?
Some Christmas album's going to come out and...
That's hard to believe, but I will definitely take that to heart. I appreciate it.
On Triple J, that is Lars Ulrich from Metallica, chatting to me last week about the brand new album, Death Magnetic. Coming up for you next, you'll be hearing part 2 of that record with Lars as he talks more in depth about the album. Here is part 2 of that interview for you now. And this is when I asked Lars what the hardest part of being in the band is.
The hardest part of what we do is the editing part. It's, trying to edit ourselves to figure out what songs to lose is not so easy. We're definitely not the best at editing ourselves. But we get better at it every year, thanks for asking. And I think that, especially when you have somebody as opinionated as Rick, it's definitely something that helps a lot.
Was he kind of drawing the line and saying, guys, this is the one to go on the album, this one you can say goodbye to?
We did all the work in pre-production and songs that were stacked and all those. We decided to record 14, and we recorded 14, and we finished 14, and then we picked 10.
I heard a rumor about when you were doing the album that you weren't in the studio when the album was being mixed. Is that true?
It was weird. It was weird traveling around in Europe and mixing kind of over the internet.
Yeah.
It's a little tough to come back to the hotel at 2 in the morning and then have to sit and go through 31, different versions of mixes between 2 and 7 in the morning. But we got through it. And, I mean, note to self, let's not do that again next time. And the bad news is, of course, the next time we get around to making a record, we'll have forgotten what we just went through this year. But hopefully somebody, can I call you up, Lyndon? You can say, remember?
Yeah, I'll go, remember you said it was a mistake.
Don't mix while you're on the road in Europe. So it's your job to call in 2013 and say that, okay?
Yeah, remember those early mornings between 2 a.m. and 7 a.m.? It was hell, wasn't it, Lars?
Exactly.
Just a couple more. You said you just picked up your kids from school. What do they think of, the new Metallica record? Do you let your kids listen to the album?
This is actually the first record where they really dig it.
Yeah?
Yeah, they love it. They love it. They're totally into it. They love playing the Guitar Hero. They dig it. They're proud of Dad. It's pretty cool. It's a little overwhelming, actually, sometimes.
Like, can you play that song? Play that, what's it called, the first one? Something about your life.
It's kind of fun. I mean, then you start worrying about, please don't walk around with Metallica shirts on, or, just try and be a normal kid. Don't, you know what I mean? There's always that. Hey, Linda.
Yeah?
I got to put you on hold for a second.
Yeah, sure.
Hang on one second.
On hold, on hold, on hold, on hold.
Hey.
Oh, hello. Sorry, I was
Sorry
whistling.
about that. Sorry. It's my son's having a play date with some parent.
Sorry, I was just whistling while you were gone. The question that everyone wants to know is, are you thinking about touring Australia anytime soon?
Of course we are. We've got nothing but love for
That's
Australia.
the right answer.
Right. Sell more records and Cold Chisel. We're coming down.
Good.
We're going to play in America till February.
Yep.
And then we're going to play in Europe till the summer.
Yep.
And then we're going to sit down and we're going to figure out all the places, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, Latin America, the polar caps.
Why don't you just make a promise that everywhere that the album goes to #1, you tour there? Because you're going to be on tour for the rest of your life.
As long as you promise me in 2010 to call me and remind me not to mix while I'm on tour.
Dude, I'll do it.
There you go.
All right,
so we will be down in Australia either towards the tail end of 09 or the beginning of 010, that I promise you.
That is Lars Ulrich from Metallica on Triple J.